Welcome back to the 2024 APAICS Tech Summit. I'm Madeline Milka, President and CEO of APAICS. Our next panel is preparing our communities for the jobs of tomorrow. While 92% of jobs require some level of digital competency, 1/3 of workers lack the essential skills needed to succeed. Given this discrepancy, how are private companies, schools, and community-based organizations rethinking their approach to workforce development? We will discuss strategies to bridge the digital skills gap and ensure that workforce development programs inclusively support AA and NHPI communities to thrive in the evolving job landscape. I'd now like to introduce CAPAC Executive Member Congressman Ro Khanna. Congressman Khanna represents California's 17th Congressional District, located in the heart of Silicon Valley. He serves on the House Armed Services Committee as ranking member of the Subcommittee on Cyber, Innovative Technologies, and Information Systems, co-chairs the Congressional Caucus on India and Indian Americans, serves as a member of the Select Committee on the Strategic Competition between the United States and the Chinese Communist Party, and on the Oversight and Accountability Committee, where he previously chaired the Environmental Subcommittee. Let's welcome Congressman Khanna.
Hi, everyone. I'm Congressman Ro Khanna. I represent Silicon Valley. I congratulate APAICS on this important panel discussion. It's so important for schools to be rethinking the type of education we're providing young people with AI and digital technology. We need to encourage digital literacy and technology proficiency from kindergarten so that young people know the tools of technology in the workplace and as citizens. Thank you for this important discussion. I look forward to hearing about the conference.
It's my pleasure to introduce our moderator for this panel, Shalin Jyotishi. Shalin is a researcher, writer, and policy strategist. He is the founder and managing director of New America's Future of Work and Innovation Economy Initiative, a research, storytelling, and policy incubator dedicated to improving and aligning science, workforce, labor, and innovation policies to renew the American middle class. He is also a Forbes contributor covering higher education, labor, and workforce issues relating to science, industrial, and innovation policy. Please welcome Shalin and the rest of the panelists.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction, Madeline. And I'm delighted to be moderating this discussion with this really outstanding panel. We don't have a lot of time today, so we'll go ahead and dive right in. Really excited for the conversation to begin. And to start off, I'd love to have our panel just introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about their background and their work and how their work relates to this topic. So Pooja, I'll start with you.
Thanks, Shalin. Hi, everyone. My name is Pooja Kondabolu, and I work on trust and safety issues as it relates to the company's public priorities at Airbnb. For those of you who are not familiar with Airbnb, it's a leading online marketplace that connects guests with potential hosts who are letting out their home on a short or long-term basis. At its core, Airbnb really aims to create human connection and build belonging. And so prior to my current role, I focused on strategic partnerships and helped develop Airbnb's renowned Entrepreneurship Academy to build it out to new communities, such as the Asian Real Estate Association. Launched in 2017, Airbnb's Entrepreneurship Academy introduces people from diverse and historically underrepresented communities to hosting on our platform. Through the Academy, Airbnb works with local organizations to develop tailored education programs that help participants learn how to become entrepreneurs by turning their spare room or property into a source of extra money on Airbnb.
It's fascinating, Pooja. Thank you. Lee, on to you.
Hey everyone. And so my name is Lee Liu. I'm a professor and from Cal State and Northridge and in LA. So Cal State Northridge has the largest population of students with disability in California. And we attract a lot of students across the country and with disabilities and to this campus. Okay. And so we're also home and to the National Center on Deafness, and which we provide a lot of service and to hearing impairment student and hard of hearing and student. So at CSUN, and I direct a program, it's called Assistive Technology Engineering, and which prepare and graduate students and to become innovative leaders and in this field. So I'm very proud to be a recipient of an Hispanic Serving Institute community grant as a part of the Global and HSI Equity Innovation Hub at CSUN. And through this grant, and we create a program and which is called A11Y Plus, which stands for Accessibility and Plus. And so, the hub has been doing a phenomenal work, and so it really links students and to essential resources and in STEM field, and by using the potentials of the Hispanic Service Institute and across the United States. And this work and is also supported by Apple. Apple is a founding partner, and also provided technology and tools and to make our program possible. So this program, and we mentor and engage students and with disabilities and in research and to further develop their skills and prepare them and for jobs and careers and after they graduate. So this group is a truly student-centered and a group and this program, and we draw faculty members and from multiple disciplinary, and we really bring a unique means of serving students with disabilities and well serving all, because we want students and with disabilities and to bring their own life experience and into software and hardware and development and the process, and also showcase their talents and need and for inclusion within the tech industry. Thank you.
Super fascinating, Dr. Liu, and CSUN's leadership in this space is certainly renowned. So thank you for your leadership. Leah, let's turn to you.
Thanks, Shalin. Hi, everyone. My name is Leah Nitake. I am the Senior Director of Technology, Telecommunications, and Media at Asian Americans Advancing Justice. At AAJC, our mission is to advance civil and human rights for Asian Americans and promote a fair and equitable society that works for everyone. So when it comes to tech policy, we work to make sure that innovation advances in a way that benefits our community, but at the same time also avoids any unintended harms. We work very closely with our network of local organizations across the country to understand how technology is impacting them. And then we share those stories and concerns with policymakers with the goal of crafting legislation and regulation that is more equitable and nuanced.
It's fascinating, and your work, Leah, I think is relevant to all of us on this panel and everyone in the audience. So I'm really glad to have your perspective with us today. Cheryl, let's move on to you.
Hi, thank you. My name is Cheryl Young, and I head our policy research practice at Doordash. Policy research supports our policy team using data and research insights that supports our mission to grow and empower local economies and measures the impact of regulations on all of our audiences, including delivery workers, who we refer to as dashers, merchant partners, and consumers. So many people think of DoorDash as the food delivery app. While that's partially true, our vision really is to connect every local business with every local consumer and bring them things within minutes, not days. And I think, most people don't know that our DoorDash's mission is to grow and empower local economies. And this means powering economic growth for businesses, communities, and individuals. And it also means that we ensure that people have equal access to opportunity to reach their full potential. So I think as part of this discussion, I'm going to talk in more detail about what we know about Dashers. And, I think as part of our job is to really understand where Dashers are, both in their financial lives, why they come to DoorDash, and they do so for a variety of reasons, mostly to, value the opportunity to earn flexibly, but we also want to be better advocates for them. And I think there are some great opportunities amongst Dashers that are relevant to the discussion here today. And just to give you a brief overview of who Dashers are, last year, over 6 million people dashed in the US, and they do it supplementally mostly. So the vast majority, over 90%, spend less than 10 hours a week dashing. So 82% have other responsibilities. They juggle a lot: full-time jobs, part-time jobs, they're retired, they're students, they're full-time caregivers, or they're self-employed. And over 60% are parents to children under 18 or have other caregiving responsibilities. majority are women, 60%. About a fifth have a disability or long-term illness, and 41% are people of color. So I just wanted to give you a sense of that population. I'll also do a quick highlight of our partnership with the National Urban League, which is a program called Goal Up, and it provides financial empowerment and online courses for Dashers.
Thank you so much for that overview, Cheryl. And those stats are fascinating. I had no idea of the diversity of the Dashers that are behind the deliveries that we all benefit from. Josh, let's round up introductions with you.
Great. Hi, everyone. Really happy to be here today. So I'm here with LinkedIn. We are a professional network with over 1 billion members globally, 67 million companies, 14 million jobs, 41,000 different skills that we track, and 133,000 colleges and universities. Our passion and mission is to provide economic opportunity for everyone in the global workforce. We have a ton of really rich data about the workforce and have created what we call the economic graph, which is a global taxonomy of the workforce. And we have a stack of data scientists and economists that look really deeply and intently at that data. And we look for trends and things we're particularly interested in for really the purpose of helping to inform discussions, debates, and policies around these issues. One of the key things is skills-based hiring to provide economic opportunity and further that mission of ours. We look at digital skills, gender equity, the greening of the economy, and AI and generative AI and how it will impact the future of work. So really looking forward to discussing this more.
Thanks so much, Josh. And LinkedIn is certainly a platform I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with. As a researcher, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn graphs, so it's great to have your expertise on the panel. So, folks, now that we've done introductions, we've given the audience a little bit of a flair of the background of yourself, the organizations you represent, and the work that you're doing in this workforce tech space. Now, let's dig a little bit deeper into a topic that I think is really relevant to the audience of this particular event. What do you see as the key challenges for Asian American and Pacific Islanders in navigating the changing workforce? You all have different vantage points from research, from industry, from academia, from advocacy, from policy. What are you seeing as the key challenges that folks should keep in mind? And Pooja, let's begin again with you.
Sure. I think one of the key challenges, and again, it could be a generalization, but what we see for this particular demographic is really the lack of awareness of the opportunity to host, as well as the lack of confidence and perception that a significant investment is needed to start hosting on Airbnb. We've also seen through our research and survey data that there could be low digital literacy in certain Asian American and Pacific Islander communities, as well as a lack of trust in technology.
Yeah, super helpful. Thinking about how Asian Americans can participate fully through, platforms like Airbnb is a significant tenet of the future of work, and different kinds of aspects of work that we might be able to engage in. Professor Liu, let's turn to you from the academic lens.
Sure. So nationally, and students from minority groups and have a lower undergraduate graduation rate. And so as such, and they face big challenges and when they get into a workforce. Like, for example, and according to Excellencia in Education, only 13% of Latino adults in California holding a bachelor degree, and which is way lower than the national average. And particularly, like only 38% of students with disability have completed a degree program. And so this is one of the reasons and why students with disabilities are employed at a very significant lower rate and than the other college graduate and without disabilities. And so it's particular the case and for students with disabilities enrolled in minority serving institute such as CSUN, and since we are a Hispanic serving an institute. So I think the tech companies has been doing a very good job and to create accommodation like a workplace and for people who are underrepresented and in the tech industry. And so I think one of the challenge is how can we and really get more students and from minority serving institute and to the tech industry and to land their first job. And also, we need to consider what are the barriers to students and with disabilities and when they are in workplace, and how can we really expand their opportunities and to other sectors and in the industry.
Super important questions that we all need to be thinking about as a community. Thank you, Professor Liu. Leah, let's turn to you. What are some key challenges that come to mind for Asian American community members in particular?
Yeah, so when it comes to the digital skills gap, AAJC really focuses on two fundamental areas, access and literacy. So with digital literacy, we focus on making sure that our community knows how to navigate online spaces in a safe and responsible way. And there's quite a bit of research out there looking at digital literacy already, but we saw an opportunity to take that a step further and really understand the challenges within our own community. We've recently released a report that outlines our findings. One of the main challenges that we've seen is that while there are great programs out there to teach digital literacy skills and to help develop that workforce, they are not typically customized with our audience in mind. For example, things like language and cultural barriers that make it more difficult for immigrants, refugees, and non-English proficient individuals to benefit. And this matters to us because about a third of AANHPIs across the country are limited English proficient. And this is quite a bit higher than we see in the national average. And in trainings where translated materials are provided, we found that a lot of them may lack accuracy or they may not have the appropriate cultural context. Another challenge we've seen is that because of the recent rapid shift from in-person to online work and online training, many of our community partners do offer incredible trainings, but everybody who takes these courses are showing up at different levels of proficiency. And so if you're less familiar with how to use computers, how to safely search and access information online, you're probably going to struggle the most to access the more advanced workforce development trainings in that virtual setting. And then a third challenge that I'll note is a lack of trust when it comes to new technologies. Pooja, you had touched upon this, but we see this particularly among some of the older clients who find that the learning process can be confusing, it can be frustrating, it can be intimidating. And that's especially the case when those trainings are not provided in language. So the challenge is really making sure that these workforce development offerings are really crafted to meet the various needs of our community.
Yeah, thanks so much, Leah. I really appreciate the intergenerational focus for workforce development as well. Thinking about not just those new entrants in the labor force, but those who are already in it, and even those who might be retirees and coming back into it. Cheryl, let's turn to you.
Yeah, so really great insights from others. I think one thing I want to point out for those, going to app-based platform work, we've seen, and I think this is true of sort of modern life, is that working adults are just balancing a host of responsibilities right now. Like I said, the majority of people have other things that they're doing outside of dashing. So people have multiple jobs. They're really just trying to provide for themselves and their families. So there's not a lot of space right now for people to really know what they need and to get ahead if their current job or their primary job is not providing it for them. And aside from that, people are spending so much time now managing households, right? And I think this is particularly true of the AANHPI community. So, caregiving is becoming a bigger and bigger portion of people's lives. And for this community in particular, I think there's some data from AARP that said almost twice the share of members of Asian American community report caring for elders than the general population. And there's this inherent responsibility to care for elders. And Pew found that, more than any other racial or ethnic group, Asian Americans live intergenerationally. So they're saddled with those responsibilities besides, sort of caring for young ones. And so there's not a lot of space right now in people's lives to think about what else they need to do. And that's why I think the flexible work piece is coming in to play a lot more. And then, as I mentioned before, having that disability or chronic disease that limits abilities to make time, access, or sort of find the accommodations you need to bridge those skill gaps is another sort of challenge in this space.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm excited we get to keep the data train going here. Josh, what are you all seeing in the data that you all have at LinkedIn? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot of things, but I guess I would focus on one, both challenge but opportunity. So we're seeing artificial intelligence accelerating the shift to a skills-based labor market. We're seeing the velocity of change in the core skills needed to do a job increasing even more. So since 2015, we've seen the core skills of the skills needed to do a particular job evolve by 25% again since 2015. With new AI tools accelerating this dynamic and pace, the scale of change is increased or is expected to increase even more. So by 2030, we expect jobs to change even faster by up to 65% of total change. So that's a lot of change to have to deal with, but there's also opportunity in there to adapt and pivot and develop and reskill and upskill and iteratively learn throughout your career to adapt and thrive in this ever-changing workforce and economy.
Yeah, that's super helpful. And I really appreciate the focus on the impacts of AI on the labor market as well. That's close and near and dear to my research interest and work as well. And, it I think positions us well for our next round of questions here, which is, now that we've addressed some of the challenges that you all are encountering in your work, what are some of the solutions that the Asian American community needs to be keeping in mind to navigate these shifts? And Josh, I'm going to start with you and go in reverse order on the panel. So, solutions.
Yeah, so I guess first, one more dynamic, and then how you can kind of leverage this dynamic that we're seeing. So, in large part because of the tight labor market, we're seeing employers on platform focusing on skills based hiring rather than the previous role you had or a degree. So one, there's roughly 70% of the jobs on platform require a degree right now, and roughly 37% of the population has a degree. So shifting to skills-based hiring and focusing on people's skills will broadens the aperture and the pool of opportunity for folks by about 20x, which is a huge multiplier. So that means that recruiters have a lot more ability to look at a much more diverse candidate pool and folks that probably are going to be better fits because they actually have the skills needed to do a job, because degrees are essentially proxies for skills and a signal, but an imperfect signal. So focusing on the skills is really important. And we see that it's from an employer and a potential worker standpoint is a win-win. Now, how can people leverage that? So, I mean, it's no longer the case that you can kind of get a 2-year degree, 4-year degree, or have some training on the front end of your career and then just kind of coast and not learn and develop. So by reskilling, upskilling, and continuing to learn, you're developing those skills that can make you marketable for a new job and competitive. So we're seeing millions and millions of new skills people posting on platform, and more recruiters relying on those skills rather than degrees. So I would just encourage folks to just in any, whether it's a micro credential or online courses or a class, I mean, there's so many opportunities to learn and develop new skills that's really the key to succeed in this ever-changing environment.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Cheryl, thoughts on navigating some of the challenges that you had mentioned in your remarks?
Yeah, I mean, I think off the bat, I think dashing is a really easy way to participate in the digital economy with low barriers to entry. So, when we asked Dashers why they initially signed up to Dash, a third of them say it was quick and easy. They have to pass a background check, and they can be up and running in a day or so, as long as they have a bike or a car or an app. Another 18% say it doesn't require specific qualifications. And another 5% actually say that it gives them skills and experience that lead to other opportunities like full or part-time jobs. So that it is an entryway, I think, for a lot of folks. But I also want to just address what I mentioned before, which is really making space in people's lives and that flexibility piece, right? So by and large, people come to app-based platform work for the flexibility to manage their own schedules, to be able to earn money while they care for others and pursue other interests and hobbies and skills. We've also heard that, and I think this was particularly true coming out of the pandemic, which was that this type of work, this flexible work, gives people kind of a stopgap. They can say, almost 60% said that dashing gave them the freedom to leave a job they didn't like or wasn't a good fit for them. So people are not in that rut, and they can earn and make ends meet while they're trying to figure out what's next. And again, I think with the student population, we've really found that as people, I would say over a quarter of the students that are dashers are over 25. So they're either in graduate school or they're coming back to school. They're going to school later, or they're coming back to school after a long time, and they're trying to get more higher education to really up-level their careers. And I think that flexibility, 3/4 say it helps them schedule around school and classes and exams. But I think the interesting fact is that 1 in 5 dashers said that the ability to deliver with an app-based platform positively influences their decision to pursue further education. So they recognize that the space that it gives them to earn, but also, work on themselves and where they want to go next in their careers. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there. Again, on the disability and mental health piece, we see 11% of dashers say no other work fits their mental or physical health needs. So there are really people out there that have a tough time with traditional work, and finding that space for them and finding something that fits is really helpful. And I do want to shout out our partnership with the National Urban League. We've been trying to find ways to support, as I mentioned before, dashers that are, where they are. So we've heard that they would like more education, especially around financial management and other courses. And so we have our Goal Up program with the National Urban League that's coming into, I think, a little over 2 years now. So we're trying to find ways, I think, to support dashers as they kind of navigate wherever they are.
That's fascinating. I think it's really interesting to sort of think about the skills-based hiring movement that Josh was referring to, and then this, uptick in interest in flexible work, whether that's the hybrid work arrangements or the type of work that Doordash enables, more modularized. So that stat is fascinating, that it enables more of the upskilling that Josh was mentioning. Leah, on to you. what are some solutions that come to mind to some of these challenges that we're all grappling with?
Yeah, so in our view, there really needs to be sustained long-term investments that are targeted toward the needs of our community. And that means thoughtful partnerships that involve community groups, companies, and academia to open that dialogue. And I think this conversation is a perfect example of information sharing and targeting where we're focusing our work. And then the implementation is largely reliant on the organizations on the ground who are the trusted messengers. And they are the ones who need more capacity to continue doing their great work, to expand their work, and to make sure they're able to really get the word out so that people know about what they're doing. It has been amazing to see the energy that corporate partners are bringing into this space and really leaning into this kind of community-based development. I can give an example of some of our current work. We are partnering with Google and have been able to sub-grant to community partners specifically on enhancing digital skills around workforce development. We are currently in our second round of sub-grants, and pretty soon we're going to be moving forward with new partnerships around artificial intelligence. As we all know, that's a rapidly developing technology. And so it's great for us to be able to have this kind of support so that what we're offering through our community groups really is keeping pace with innovation. Each of these classes are designed to meet students at their specific skill level. Many of them are taught in language, including in Chinese and Vietnamese, and they teach a wide range of workforce-related skills. So things like job interview prep, developing a resume, how to search and apply for jobs online. They're teaching really practical skills and etiquette around writing professional emails, how to build slide decks, create spreadsheets, develop reports. And some of them are starting to incorporate trainings on AI already. So for example, generative AI tools like ChatGPT, using them for translation, using them to be more targeted about searching for jobs that are a fit for that individual's profile. One of the programs gave students an opportunity to get workplace training, working as an office assistant, where they got to apply the skills as they were learning them. In some cases, students were hired before they even completed the course because of the skills that they were gaining. One of the older participants in one of the courses said that they often went home and practiced what they were learning in the class with their 10-year-old grandson. And that was a really nice way for them to learn, but also bring them closer with family. And so these are just a few examples of the different ways that digital skills programming really is being developed for a wider audience and catering to the actual needs of our community.
It's fascinating. And I love, Leah, that you focused on both the technical skill development as well as those soft, durable skills that help folks succeed at work. Professor Liu, on to you. What are some solutions that we should all be thinking about?
Those are great and conversations. And so, we serve students, and so we put a student at the center and on this campus. And so, in classroom, and we found our students have a lot of innovative ideas. And so, like Cheryl and Leah, both of them mentioned. And so, I think we can also learn and their innovative ideas out of the classroom, because a lot of our students are taking more and responsibilities and in their community and in their families. And so, like, for example, a lot of our students and drive to school, and they are also the primary caregivers and to their families, right? And so a flexible work schedule and definitely and help them, and it's to their advantage. So I think, and we can look into and how and universities and companies and can work together and to better understand and their life and the barriers in their life, and to model the dynamics of this new workforce, like Leah said. And so how can we really create a sustainable and pipeline for the new workforce, right? And so that's why I really encourage companies and to hire people and from a minority serving institute, and because students and can really bring a lot of culture and experiential wealth and into this workspace. And I'm sure the workspace will reflect and their need and the diversity.
Absolutely. I love the focus on, really learning from lived experiences that students have when they're participating in some of these upskilling, reskilling opportunities, and reverse engineering your strategy from what we're learning. It's really helpful to have that student-centered lens. Thank you for that, Professor Liu. And Pooja, we'll round out this round with you.
Sure. Yeah. So with respect to the lack of awareness of opportunity to host on Airbnb and the belief that significant investment is required, Airbnb works with local organizations, to Leah's point, to develop tailored education programs that help participants learn how to become entrepreneurs by turning their spare room or property into a source of extra money on Airbnb. We really do believe that investment in these partners who really understand the local communities are key to kind of speaking their language and helping them feel comfortable. As part of the academy, participants also hear directly from super hosts who share tips and helpful information on how to get started and find success on the platform. Many also learn about Airbnb's platform and tools that can help them build wealth, grow their business, and support inclusive tourism. And just zooming out a bit, home sharing through Airbnb creates an additional income stream for hosts. It fuels visitor spending in communities, supports jobs across multiple industries, and contributes substantial tax revenue for local governments. The money spent by a lot of Airbnb guests and hosts help support a wide range of jobs all over the country.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Pooja, you set us up perfectly for the final question that I had for our panel, just to close us out here, which is, so now we've talked about the challenges that the Asian American community are grappling with the changing labor market. We've focused a bit on some of the solutions and some of the examples that you all are advancing in your work, whether that's partnership-based, reskilling-based, awareness generation. What do we have to be excited about for the future as we look ahead and in implementing some of those solutions we had talked about? Pooja, I think your last comments set us up really well for this, but what gets you really excited about the future?
Yeah, sure. I think, going back to our investment in local communities and partnerships, our partners really do share Airbnb's commitment to empowering diverse and underrepresented community through the tourism economy, right? So that really does get us excited. Airbnb and the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center help funded organizations to support existing entrepreneurial programs and host academies to help the communities they serve unlock economic opportunities to hosting. In 2024, Airbnb's Academy also partnered with more than 30 organizations, including the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy of the Republic of Indonesia, the Global Himalayan Expedition in India, and really wanted to help more communities access the economic opportunity of hosting, both inside the US and abroad. And to round it out with a great stat, since its launch in 2017, the Academy introduced more than 6,000 people from diverse and underrepresented communities to host on Airbnb. So that's super exciting, and it's continuing to grow today.
It's fantastic. It's super empowering. Professor Liu, how about you? What makes you excited about the future?
Well, I'm so excited, and so we can all sit down together and to talk about this, right? And so I really appreciate the opportunity and the APAC provide and to us. And so academia, higher education, and industry, and also nonprofit organizations, and we can all communicate and with each other, right? And like Pooja mentioned, and so how can we extend and education, the learning experience, and beyond higher education, right? And so how can we prepare and students and after their current stage of their life, right? And so how can we really connect them and to their future. And that's really exciting. I can see the synergy and the effort and coming from all these different sectors. Super exciting.
Leah, how about you? What makes you excited about our future?
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. And I'd say, it's been encouraging to see that when it comes to the courses, there's a really high demand for this type of training. We saw that classes are filling up really quickly. Students were asking for sort of follow-up coursework and expanded curriculum. As I mentioned before, there's huge interest in the AI tools from community groups and students alike. I'm excited to see more courses being offered in the future in a wider set of languages. And like Pooja and Dr. Liu had mentioned, I think it's great to see that none of us are doing this work in silos. And so I look forward to continuing to work in coordination with all of you to see business, academia, and community come together. Excited to see our community get to benefit from the changing landscape, including the way that we're thinking about, opportunities in the sharing economy, some that were talked about today, and truly reap the benefits of that.
Love it. Cheryl?
Yeah, I mean, I want to echo what everyone says, but I think from, the research nerd side of me, really excited to sort of be in the space where we're trying to understand the needs better and hearing about others who are also really just, amplifying what those needs are and where the gaps are. So the more research, I think, the better. And of course, I think turning that into action. We've heard so much about that here today. And I'm definitely excited to think about ways that, industry, tech, and can partner with academic institutions and the community and nonprofit organizations. So this has all just been a really exciting conversation and looking forward to finding solutions jointly.
Absolutely. And Josh, we'll round out with you. What makes you excited about our future?
Yeah, so to the reskilling and upskilling and skills-based hiring points, there's never been more opportunities to be able to access courses and different avenues to learn. So that's super exciting. And I think that's continuing, that trend's going to continue. Secondly, I think skills-based hiring is going to continue to increase. We're seeing at the state level, over a dozen states cutting red tape to focus on skills-based hiring rather than degree requirements where they don't make any sense. We're seeing the same thing at the federal government. So I think the federal, the state, and the private sector is going to increase skills-based hiring, which increases economic opportunity for everyone.
Well, sounds like we all have a lot to be excited about as we move into the future. Folks, that rounds out our panel for today. We're about at time, and I just want to thank Pooja, Leah, Cheryl, and Josh once again for sharing their expertise, their insights on some of the challenges that the Asian American community are grappling with, and the labor market more broadly. Some of the solutions that we all would like to see more of, and what we have to be excited about as we move forward. It's been a pleasure moderating this discussion, and I encourage all of our audience members to find our panelists on the social medias, on LinkedIn, to Josh's point, and I thank the hosts of this conversation, the Asian Pacific American Institute for Congressional Studies. It's been an honor, and until next time.